Hey everyone, how's it going? Hope all is well. Got a lot of people joining in, which is awesome. This is much different than Sunday night where I literally had one person. My name's James. I am from Tin Robot Games, for those of you who don't know. And I'm here to talk about a bunch of stuff. Number one is we have a Kickstarter campaign running right now. And man, is it ever going really well. For those of you who are Kickstarter people, do me a favor, drop a KS in the comments so I know that you have an idea what Kickstarter is. We're going to talk a little bit about Kickstarter. We're going to talk about the campaign. We're going to talk about, quite frankly, any questions anybody has. Probably offer some insight, too, on some behind-the-scenes stuff that often people are not aware of. But it is an exciting day for sure. Let me just show. I'm going to jump in real quick to this. Here's our page. So we're at $96,000, $96,207. Man, I am absolutely humbled by this number. We knew it would do well. We did a lot of homework going into this, quite frankly, but we weren't necessarily sure we'd be at this point as quick as we are. And thanks a lot, First Games. Really appreciate it. We got James Matilabram as well, McDonald. We got Mega Maniac, Toyin Yoin, Martha, One Empress. Can't pronounce the next name. Checha Muriel, Donald, user Ziploc, I think. Me here. Grimes 613, Nam, Nehe, Louise, Bradley. Welcome everyone. Yeah, 96,000. This is man, it is crazy. We're literally trying to get one more backer before we go to bed tonight because that puts us at a solid 900 backers. We're at 888. So if there's anyone watching right now that wants to help us out, even pledge $1. Go to Kickstarter and give us $1. That'll get our backer count up to 900. That is a massive milestone. We've never had a campaign this big. It is doing phenomenal. So what is Cities of Venus? Cities of Venus is a kind of medium light Euro board game, which plays 1 to 4 players, and it also plays 1 to 6 players. It depends on the pledge you get. If you get the 6-player version, obviously it plays 1 to 6 players. A whole bunch of more stuff comes in the 6-player version, but you get quite a lot of stuff in the 4-player as well. This image I have on the screen here is actually the 6-player version. The only thing that's missing from this image is 3 more volcanoes, which would come if you get the 6-player version of this game. Welcome, Michael, Kush, MHW, welcome. Waybrained and Kronos and Al, welcome. Alexander, welcome. Tank G354, welcome. Love the handles. Sierra 7, greatest of all time, welcome. So, yeah, this game plays 1 to 4 players, also plays 1 to 6. I'm just a small publisher. It's literally myself and my brother, who is my co-designer on this game. Just 2 dudes in our basements with day jobs that do this on the side because it's something we love to do. We love to create games and certainly love to do Kickstarter campaigns. This is our 5th Kickstarter campaign. So by supporting this game, you're supporting just 2 guys like you that just are following their passion. In addition to that, the version you see on this Kickstarter page will not be available at retail. I turned down another retailer today. I think that's a total of 7 retailers I've now turned down, and 1 distributor that came to me and said, hey, I'd like to have this in our stores. And the answer is no. Sorry, this is only a Kickstarter version. If you buy this on Kickstarter, you get the full version. And if you want it at retail, at some point down the road, probably through localization partners, we'll do a retail version, but it'll be way stripped down. You won't get all the stuff that you get here. It's impossible for us to hit the price points you need to hit for retail just with the amount of stuff that we have in this game. So rest assured, if you're backing us, not only you're supporting a little small player, but you're also getting something exclusive that somebody else might not have if they're one of your gamers. So to play this game, you start off, we've got the drop. And the drop is very simple. We've got these resources coming through the clouds from Earth. Earth is sending resources and upgrades to the people on Venus to help them sustain their cities. And each one of you in this game is in control of your own city. And your goal is to sustain that city, grow that city, and really weather the storm until the end of the game when you lose contact with Earth. At some point, you're going to see these little caution symbols that show up on cards. This just indicates to you that you have to resolve an event. The events are usually bad. There are some good events, but not many. They're usually bad. Hey, Krista. Hey, Dave. And so you resolve your events. After that, you're going to erode your shields. Everybody's doing this all simultaneous, so simultaneous play. This game plays really fast. You can get through a whole game in about an hour. It looks really robust and complicated. It's very, very streamlined. The only time you're going in play order is at the very end of the round when you take turns grabbing canisters. I'll get there in a second, but everyone else is doing everything at the same time. You erode your shields. Of course, you got these acidic clouds on Venus, which are just horrible, and they're eroding your ship. Then you get to the population growth step. That's where you look at your food, your crops, and then you look at your population that you have in the air and water department. Whichever has the least number of V-naughts, that's what we call these little space people. They're on these on the space station. The lowest number is what generates your population growth. In this case, you see you've got 3 in the air and water versus 4 in the food. So this person would grow their population by 3, and you deploy them literally anywhere you want on your board. Hey, Trent. Hey, Travis. Hey, Justin. Brent, welcome. And we're talking about Cities of Venus. Jenny, welcome. Then from there, if you deploy up to 8 people to the International Innovation Station, which is this card here, you can cash those people in and you can get a card right away from the innovation market. And these are upgrades that you can physically plug into your board to allow you to do things that, quite frankly, the other cards don't allow you to do. Milo Hunter, welcome. Abudi, welcome. Stinky and Smelly, I love the handle, welcome. Poos, welcome. So the city actions phase, once you get there, the city action phase allows you to do different things. So you can physically plug cards into your boards that you've potentially had put on hold earlier. You can mine for resources. That's the mining mech you see in the frame here. And you can also exchange V-Knight minerals to buy additional V-Naughts, and this can allow you to catch up because the game is quite punishing. And as you're losing people, and sometimes you might have to find a catch-up mechanism throughout the game. Also, there's a lot of innovations that we have in this game, which thanks for the like there, Laugh29. So the innovations of this game allow you to do some really cool stuff, and some of these innovations actually are activated during the city action phase, such as the one that allows you to, and you can see in the frame down here, I think it's the third from the left, this card allows you to move V-Naughts throughout your station. When you're claiming a canister, you do this in your player turn order. And you do this, quite frankly, by just picking one of the cards from the drop, and then the next person clockwise around will start grabbing cards as well. And you have to pay the prices on those cards in people from those departments. And you can see the image there, we circle the different departments that you have to pay. If you can't afford a card, then you can still take a card and reserve it at the bottom of your board in the holding bay, and then you can install it later on in the game. However, if you don't install it by the end of the game, you do lose a couple points. We call that the anti-debag rule, so you're not just reserving cards so someone else can't get them. Hey, Jaden, welcome. And then the end of the game is triggered when the Earth card shows up. This is randomly shuffled into the lower third of the drop deck, and this just signifies that we lost contact with Earth, and then you score up your points. Hey, Chloe Tremblay, hello. Jules Forever, welcome. Jay's Leaf Lover, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Jason Leaf Lover. Great Jays game on Sunday. It was awesome, but the Leafs game last week, a lot of us are still scratching our heads. Okay, end of game victory points. This all comes down to VPs listed on your cards and your upgrades. You get a victory point for every 4 mineral points that you've mined, and you get 2 victory points for every 1 victory point for every 2 V-Naughts that you have in your station. So that kind of explains the essence of how you play the game. We've got a lot of cool stuff. I'm just going to shift my screen here really quick so I can hold up some show and tell stuff. So we've got this first player marker that you can add on to your pledge. My niece painted this one, looks super dope. Use this to track basically who's the first player, and that comes into account near the end of the round when you're having to choose who's picking canisters in what order. Amarjeet, welcome. Gazelle, welcome. Bill 8, welcome. Jennifer, welcome. You also have these really cool trays that we've already paid for the molds. So these are included in the game. 4-player game gets 1 of these. 6-player game gets 2 of these. Yannick, welcome. Welcome, Michael. Welcome, Penny. Welcome, Stephanie. I'm having trouble keeping up. We've got also these cool resource trays, the little volcanoes. They'll hold your gem. Little VNot's going to hold these up too for people who haven't seen these. We're talking about a Kickstarter campaign for those who are just joining us. This game is called Cities of Venus. It's on Kickstarter right now. We're at 899 backers right now. And if we can get just one more, man, that'll help me go to bed with a smile on my face. You can literally pledge $1. All you have to do is go to Kickstarter.com, type in Cities of Venus. You'll find our campaign. Pledge $1, and we've hit our 900 backers. I'm throwing cords everywhere. All right. These are VNots. They are double painted, so they're painted in a metallic ink, plus their little helmets. Helmet screens are also painted on both sides. So we got premium components there. These are made of wood. There's just so many premium components in this game. It's really tough to kind of go through them all, but I do have a really cool thing I'm going to show you here real quick. There we are. So I'm going to go down to, we have a comparison chart. We also just added a bunch of stuff too. So once a week, we're doing these, what we call them reveals. So every Tuesday, we have a major reveal that we do. The first one we did last week was solo mode. So now a solo mode ships with every game that somebody pledges. That brought a lot of people in because people were really excited to get a solo mode. Today's reveal was, and the solo mode is it's cool. The story is 20 years before the main game, and you are essentially as a piece of a canister, or there's some kind of event. Something's happened that's hit the station hard, and unfortunately, everyone is gone and you're the only one left. And your job as a solo survivor of that city is to get the population up in that city, to get all the departments functioning again. And you're waiting for help to come from Earth. And by the time help gets here from Earth, if you don't have that, a lot of people love that. Hello, Kyla. Welcome. We also have our second reveal that we just announced today. This is the scorekeeping web app. A lot of people were really happy to hear this today. I don't know about you, but I really hate having to pull out a piece of paper and write my scores down and add up all the scores that way. There is some math involved in the scores here. So the fact that we got an app where you just literally put the different values of the different things you got in at the end of the game, and it automatically calculates everyone's score and tells you who the winner is. People just absolutely love that. Hello, Blazewood. Hello, Guillaume Bernier. Must be from Quebec. Welcome, Sam. Welcome. We got another reveal coming on May 23rd, so next Tuesday, and then we just added another reveal. I finally talked to the factory. I wasn't sure if we're going to be able to do this, and I had to wait for them to come back. They were traveling, and when the main person got back, we did the math, and we can do this fourth reveal. Can't say what it is. You'll have to wait till the 30th of May, but it's pretty damn cool, and I am super stoked that we can do it. And yes, I'm going to make less money per game, but I just want to do it because it's super dope. So we're going to do that on May 30th. We're going to announce that, and then our campaign literally ends the next day. So it comes just in time for the end. What comes in the box, we got these really cool neoprene stitched player mats. We got these mech minis, these dice mech minis that holds the dice ore in the back of the mech. Hey, Gamer Guy 85, welcome. And then also holds your meeple in the front, which is really cool. My niece painted for them, so we took pictures of what they look like when they're painted as well. You got these quad layer player boards. And it's funny, some of the reviewers are referring to them as like dual layer. Some are calling them triple player. These are actually 4-layer boards. So there's, the base. The next layer is hidden because it's a spacer on the inside to allow you to slide cards in. The next layer has artwork on it, which kind of forms the artwork for most of the station. And then there's a top layer. Hey, Joe Gallant. A good buddy of mine, Joe Gallant, just joined. Welcome, Joe. The top layer acts as an actual tray for your meeples so they don't slide off. So you can slide cards in and out of this board without any meeples going flying. Naya, welcome. So you can see in the video here how the cards slide into the board. It's super cool. There's little windows cut out so that as you slide a card in, if there's like an upgrade that gives you a special ability, that peeks through the window and you can see that. You can see the victory points on the card even though it's tucked into the board. Oh man, and there's these capacity limits to each department too, and you can change the capacity of these departments with these different cards that you're inserting. It can either go up or down depending on what you're inserting into the board. So it's really cool. And this is something when we launched the game we really wanted to have, is for this to feel. Oh, thanks for the like, Stephanie. To feel like you're actually physically building your city up. So super excited about it. It's doing really well. Check it out. Cities of Venus on Kickstarter.com right now. And I was just saying to everybody else earlier on, we are at 899 backers right now. So we need one more backer before I go to bed to bring it to 900 so I can go to bed just high-fiving and feeling excited. If you can give me $1 pledge, really appreciate it. Love to have you as a backer. Also gives you access to our pledge manager as well as all the goodies we're announcing along the way. In terms of the cards, there's tons and tons of cards. The Cloud Drop cards, we have the event cards. The Unknown Person just joined. I don't know who it is because they're called the Unknown Person. That is their handle. We have these event cards. We have these innovation cards that you can unlock by sending people to the International Innovation Station. We got these mini player boards, which act as the innovation station and act as a reference guide. Each game, the 4-player, comes with 200 of these VNOT meeples, again, which are painted on both sides. Is not Keegan, welcome. We also have a ton of gems, these acrylic gems in 4 different denominations, 1, 4, and 8. We have these D6 dice, which come. They're marbled. We're getting a lot of great feedback on those. People love them. As I said, the rocket trays. We've already created the molds for these. And so you get one of these with the 4-player. You get 3 of them with 3 of the volcano trays with the 4-player game as well. We spot UV print our box and inside lid printing. I know a lot of people when they do Kickstarter campaigns, they peel that out and then just give it back to you after they hit certain financial targets. What we wanted to do this game is make sure that we gave the best possible game right out of the gates. So we're not playing any of these kind of stretch goal games or anything like that. There's no stretch goals. It's just everybody gets the best possible version of this game, period. And you can see it when you browse our page. We also have in the 6-player version, you add 2 more of the dice mechs. Moni Good Adventures, welcome. And Chelsea's welcome as well. More of the Cloud Drop cards, more of the event cards, more of the innovation cards. Elixir Games. Oh, my brother from the Southern Mother. How's it going? How's it going, Mike? Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. And you get 2 more marble dice. We get 50 more meeples. So you get like 250 meeples if you got the 6-player version. Again, additional tray, as I said, for the rocket tray to hold the meeples. And there are 3 of the, what we call our volcano trays, 2 more mini player boards, and 2 more quad layer boards. Hey, Nancy, welcome. So to compare these two, you can see right on our campaign page, if you want to see is the 1 to 4 player or the 1 to 6 player right for you, you can kind of judge the two. Essentially, there's 110 more pieces in the 6-player version. There's also some unique cards in that version that will not be available in the 4-player version. So that's the kind of difference between the 1 and the 4 and the 6-player. Both uber premium. Everything's got premium components. If you never have 6 people at your house to play a game, or even 5 people, the 1 to 4 player is going to be just fine for you. There's a lot of stuff in that box. It's going to be a big, big box. Ship weight on these is actually quite crazy. And but if you ever have any more than 4 people playing a game at your house, the 6-player is kind of where you want to go on this, so you can make sure you accommodate everybody. As I said, we got these super cool first player markers that we have as an add-on. How to play videos. We have them in English, French, and Italian. You can download the rule book right now. Welcome, Megan. This is a draft rule book, so we're adding another 4 pages. So currently it's 8. We're going to add a lot more visuals to that book. We're also going to have it in multiple languages. You can see previews, so people explain how the game works. Lots of previewers, tons of reviewers who are candid, but we put them up there anyways, so you get the good and bad and the ugly. It is all good. I mean, these reviews I'm very appreciative of how well it was received. And the feedback some of them gave, we've actually employed. So love the review feedback has been just been awesome. Get us a little sampling of what everyone's saying about the game. Scroll all the way down. We got again, myself and Adam, my brother, are the designers on this. I want to give a shout out to Daniel Kuna. He did the artwork. He did a great job. And we did a lot of kind of like digital sketches. And then I said, okay, try this, try that, and kind of built up the art to get to where it is right now. A lot more coming as well. And then we got Mackie, who's done kind of all the graphical frames around our cards. Stephen Hill, he's a rule scrubber. And he's actually working on the prequel right now. We've got a roll and write that's going to be coming up. Talk about that in a second. And then Caitlin Summers, she did our page design and some of our social media stuff as well. Backer kit, thanks to them. Localization inquiries, if anyone here is from another country, have people click on that button, fill out the form. Love to talk to you about localization deals. All of our social handles, if you want to join us on TikTok or on Discord, love to have you. You can play this game right now on Tabletop Simulator. So you can play this 2 to 4 players. Follow this link. It's free to play. It's all automated. You click a button, it automatically deals the cards out for you. A lot of fun. I was playing a game again the other day with someone else. Quite frankly, shoot me a note if you want to play a game. I'd love to play a game with anybody that reaches out to me. We'll set up a play time, and we'll do the audio through our Discord channel. We also have customs-friendly shipping on these orders to the EU, to the UK, Canada, US, Australia, New Zealand. And then just briefly want to talk about where we're going, which I have on the bottom of the page here as well, right here. So I'm going to go back to face to cam, if I may. Let's see here. There we go. All right, so where are we going with Cities of Venus in this story? Well, quite frankly, we think this thing has a lot of legs. We think that, we know. We know we can take this story quite far, and we've got it mapped out for about 10 years. So out of the gate, obviously this game is going to ship in about a year. Welcome, Andrea. And our plan is to take this story and have prequels and sequels and really kind of flush out as far as we can in terms of different iterations as standalone offerings. So the first one we're going to have is this game comes out in about a year. And the card packs, we're going to be coming with card packs so people can refresh their game and add new innovations and new things to their game just by ordering these card packs. And we'll make these available roughly once a year, and we'll keep going as long as there's demand out there. And those are shipped straight from China so that we can ship those as cheap and as economical as possible. So we'll let our backers know about those. We have a sequel that's coming roughly a year after this campaign, which is called Survivors of Venus. And this is going to be a completely different play style. It's what we call a polyomino, so the Tetris shapes. And you are these mechs, like these guys here. They're going to be out exploring the terrain on Venus, trying to find survivors that weren't captured by the different cities and landed on the surface. And your goal is to collect as many of those as you can, collecting V-Knight to power your mech so you can go further, explore more. You're trying to find pieces of ship and machinery. You can assemble a ship together so you have an ascent vehicle and then get all these survivors home. And that's essentially what the Survivors of Venus game is going to be. We've got the prototype already done. It's awesome. I love it. It's a polyomino, and it's got a different spin on a polyomino, which is really cool. We have a prequel, as I was saying earlier, which is called Architects, and it's all around the design of the cities and maximum efficiency of mapping the power centers and so forth in the city. That's a roll and write by Stephen Hill. That's going to be coming. We're still trying to determine if we're going to ship that at the same time as an add-on to Survivors of Venus, or if we're going to do a standalone kind of a pre-order while people wait for this game as a way to keep them kind of engaged in the story. We have the digital stories that we've been sending out as part of this campaign. Anybody's following our campaign, you can follow along with our digital stories. We've got chapters that we're releasing every few days. That will probably turn into a graphic novel as well. And then we've got a couple other concepts that we're toying around with right now in terms of social deduction games, auction games, and even quite a few Take That games that we're working on that would fall all within the Cities of Venus universe. So that's kind of what we're trying to do with this story, and it just brings me so much joy because there's so many different directions we can go with this story that, man, it just brings me, I just love it. Drop me a thumbs up or a like if you don't mind in the comments if you're still here, so I know who I'm talking to. I'm seeing names pop in and out fast, as you always get with TikTok. You get a mad rush and then they'll start popping out. Give me a thumbs up if you're still here. We'll keep going. And quite frankly, you can let me know what you want to talk about when it comes to Cities of Venus. Do you have questions about the game? Do you have questions about the story? Do you have questions about game design? Quite frankly, I'm a game designer as well as a publisher, and I've designed quite a few games. And it's quite a process, everything through prototyping to putting together the actual game itself, to publishing, to working with people around the world. It's quite a robust process, and I absolutely love to share it. I do have a podcast, actually, anybody that's following along, called Board Game Binge. We just had Mike that was in the lobby as well from Elixir Games. And yeah, thanks, pal. And he's the producer of the podcast. And what's cool about the podcast is we talk to different people from around the industry that have anything to do with board games. I mean, we've had artists on there. We've had, pretty high-end, game designers and publishers like the Jamie Stegmeyers of the world and Jim Hudson's. And we've had people from, we actually have somebody that has their own podcast. It's going to be on tomorrow. So anyone that has anything to do with the board game industry, we get on our podcast and we learn about their story. And that story is, how they got into the industry, what were their motivations. It's kind of a weird thing if you think about it, creating board games. Those of us that do it have a lot of people that we, that we're talking to in our lives, that when you're talking about board games, they kind of furrow their brow a bit. They're like, you mean like Monopoly? Like, what are you talking about? And so it's an odd thing. And that's the part I think gets me the most excited talking to these different people in the industry on this podcast, is trying to figure out how they got into the industry. I know how I got in, but how did they get in? And what is it that motivates them? And what is it from their day-to-day lives that helps them kind of feed into that and inform their love of the hobby? And that's what I find super cool. And, it's the 30-minute format. You can literally listen to it while you're brushing your teeth on your way to work. You can binge it, right? And we've had 238 episodes, I believe, now. We have some guests, hosts on the show as well. So if you get sick of my voice from time to time, you get Joe Slack doing an interview as well. And it's cool. It's been a lot of fun. And if you're interested in game design or game publishing, or have had any aspirations of doing anything in the board game industry, it is a great resource to just kind of hear how other people have done it and kind of what they've done to get involved. So that's kind of my little soapbox on that. Mike, I think you're the only one left in this chat right now, man. Do you have any questions, brother? Anything you want to talk about? Let me know. I'm actually going to switch over to some artwork really quick. I'll show you some stuff I'm working on. I've got a game called Time Splicers that we started building out. And of course, as you know, as you start getting super excited on a game, you can't help but start working on it like right away. So I've been spending a good solid couple weeks on just cranking out the art on this, so that I have a prototype for when we go to Protospiel, and that's coming up in another 3 weeks. So Time Splicers. Let me see if I can shift this over here. So this is our game, Time Splicers. It's a card game. And this, quite frankly, is just prototype art. So this is stuff that I'm using, quite frankly, Midjourney for. And I know there's a lot of Midjourney haters or AI, I guess, call it art. I call it graphic design, but AI art, that there's a lot of vitriol, quite frankly, online. But for prototyping and iteration, it is fantastic. It is a fantastic tool. Because prior to this, oh, thanks, pal. Prior to this, there was, I'd go on Shutterstock, or I'd grab whatever images I could find online and use those as stand-ins. This now allows us now to, quite frankly, create exactly what you need fast, right? And hey, Luke, welcome. We're just talking about game design right now. We're talking about Cities of Venus. Now we just bounced over to another game we're working on called Time Splicers. And the iteration process is so much faster now if you can use some of these tools. And Mike, I know with your game, we've been talking about, gosh, it'd be great to kind of get some stuff going. Man, the way Midjourney is set up right now, I'm using both Midjourney and ChatGPT. And ChatGPT 4 or ChatGPT Plus, which is like $20 a month. And I use it even in my business for doing like social media and things like that for some of my clients. But for game design, my God, even the synopsis on this game, I had written the synopsis, which wasn't great because I'm not a creative writer, threw it into ChatGPT and said, can you rewrite this and clean up for me? What came back from ChatGPT was like, oh my God, that is fantastic. That is an amazing description of this game. So I put that on the back of the box. Because ChatGPT now, if you have the Plus version, there's a beta running right now. You do definitely need to toy around with it. Anytime you want to do a tutorial, dude, let's hop on a Zoom. I will walk you through it, paint by numbers. I spent a lot of time working on the AI. And the cool thing about the ChatGPT Plus is you can, it now has a beta that allows it to link straight into internet browsing. So because ChatGPT kind of all of its data takes you up to 2021, and any question after 2021, it just can't really answer because all of its learning data is based on prior to 2021. But now, because you can allow it to web browse, you can say, ChatGPT, I use Midjourney, which is an AI bot that helps with graphic design. Can you please go to the Midjourney website, learn everything you can about it, and let me know when you're ready and I have a question. So the circle goes for about 45 seconds and it says, okay, what's your question? And then I said, okay, what's Luke saying? I use Snapchat's AI to create starting equipment for characters in RPG. I'm creating it's amazing. Yeah, that's cool too. That's a great one. So what this thing does is I can go and say, so I was creating these eras, right? So if you look at this, and I'll give you kind of a quick overview of the art, if I can get back to my page. So if I look at the art, this is some of the art that was kind of spit out. And I'm going to take the Roman Colosseum. So I basically had to create these different eras. And I said, look, I need these 3 eras, or I need 12 eras in this card game. And I want to end in a singularity. I said, can you give me 12 eras from time? So if the first cut it gave me was saying, okay, well, starting off with, 5,000 BC, and it starts going through significant time eras. I go, no. Start at the Bronze Age and go from there. And I want them to be roughly spread apart as technology kind of progresses. And boom, it started creating these eras for me and then little descriptions of each. And then from there I said, okay, now going and looking at Midjourney and what I need from Midjourney, I need you to create me a prompt from each of those. So I have 1 card per era, and I need the prompt that I can cut and paste into Midjourney to create the artwork. 45 seconds later, it created all the prompts. And part of the thing was I said, and all the artwork has to look like it's part of the same family. Then I spent 4 hours just cutting and pasting into Midjourney because Midjourney takes a little bit longer. It's about 45 seconds to a minute generation per image. And hey, Nathan, welcome. And we're just talking about AI and Midjourney and in-game design. So then I went through and I created these different pieces. And then you'll notice that in this game, I wanted the different timelines are represented by colors. So yellow is one color, is pink and blue. But in this game, you have the ability, you can splice a timeline off and create parallel timelines. And so I want this game to be that, okay, when I go into another timeline, I want it to look like it's the same time era, but things are subtly different. And so when players are playing, I want to see if they would notice. So you can see the Colosseum. This image is there, but then the next one, it's the same image, but slightly different. The buildings are slightly different, and the people at the front, they set things up differently. And then in this time era, there's actually a staircase coming down from the Colosseum, and now the yellow umbrellas are gone. And then this one here, you have now a white tent, right? And I did this for each of the eras. So if I look at like the Iron Age, and you look at the Iron Age, you've got, a little bit different setup. The houses look a little bit different. And you have these different setups for these different times. And it has been amazing in terms of iterating. So this process would have taken me historically probably, if I was to be fair, I'd say probably, I don't know, 3 weeks of like just trying to find the right pieces and pasting in. And I would have had something that would have looked decent like this. Now, obviously I had to do the graphical overlays and so forth, but for the actual like illustration images, but it still wouldn't have been this good. It still wouldn't have been to the point where everything flows, right? And everything's in the same kind of genre and design. And, you know, I picked like a historical painter from, I think this painter was from the like 1800s, and said, do it kind of similar, inspired in that person's, look who just joined. Tabletop Vibes, in this genre. And, it is so awesome. I mean, I can't say how awesome this is. So Mike, if you're still listening, dude, let me know. I know you're in the middle of tax season, so you're probably just, well, you got to be coming to the back end of that now. So you're probably swamped, but when you're ready, man, let me know. I'd love to help you do this. The AI is a game changer. You can actually use AI for even like, you name it, you can do it. You can do predictive models. You can use it for, social media is a good one. So I have, things are going really well there, Adam. I'm going to explain in a second. Adam, I'll show you what we're working on. Something that's not even Caesar with Venus related. We're talking AI and artwork generation because we're working on this card game now, and I've been using AI to help me with my prototypes. So you can use ChatGPT. I do social media for some of my clients, and we used to spend probably 2 weeks putting together the social media calendar for our client. And, you know, we'd have to write all the posts. Then we go and get the right imagery, it ties into the post, animate them and all this kind of stuff. That 2-week task I can now do in a day. 1 day. So I go to ChatGPT and I can say, here's a brand, my client's brand. Here's the main brand benefits. These are the main things that this brand stands for. And can you give me a social media content calendar that is 4 posts a week for the next 6 weeks? And make sure you cover off these holidays and give me relevant hashtags. Within like 60 seconds, boom, a month worth of content. I always ask for 2 weeks more than I need because some posts aren't awesome. Go through, pick out the ones I want, go grab images that I think are going to, and we use a lot of stock images that I think will fit those social media posts, do the overlays, boom, I've got a month's worth of content done in a day. I'm going to do that one step further this month. Now that ChatGPT Plus can access the internet, this month I'm actually going to say, instead of here's a synopsis of the brand, I'm going to say, ChatGPT, here's my client's social media profile on Instagram. Please refer to the Instagram on the profile on Instagram. And based on that, give me a month worth of social media content, which is non-repetitive of what we've already done and fits in the brand design, image, and tone of what we've already established over the past 3 years. And I'm hoping that the quality is going to improve. And what's funny is my client has been saying over the past 3 months we've done social media content, they're like, man, this is just, your content's getting better and better. And they're not realizing that we're using these AI tools to assist us. Still a lot of work, but allows us to kind of shorthand things. So what do you say now, Mike? Very cool process. Heard discussions with Sarah about AI art, and she's excited about the doors it opens for cranking out art and being more of an art director. Yeah, for sure. Here's an example of how Sarah can use AI. So for people who are listening, Sarah's I'd say mutual friend, or industry friend anyways. I just think Sarah's and Josh are just awesome. And so Sarah and Josh are very talented artists, really talented artists. And they do a lot of great art, but you reach a point where you have capacity constraints, right? Time is a commodity. You only have so much time. So you run into, like I do with social media for clients, if I'm spending 2 weeks doing one client's social media calendar, that limits how much business I can bring on. But if I can shorten that to a day, I can have literally 14 clients paying in the time it took me for one client to pay before, right? So Sarah would be in the same zone. Sarah could take all of her art that she's done already, and she could upload that into like a Midjourney 5 probably, train that model to then create new art pieces in her style. So still Sarah's style, but a new piece based on prompts that she comes up with, right? So if she's doing something for one of your games, for instance, she goes, I want to do this, this, and this, and here's in the tone, and do it in my style, and here's the color palette I want to use, and she can set all the parameters, and boom, that machine can crank out different paintings, which have been, quite frankly, done in her hand, right? Because it's her style. That allows her to then start cranking stuff out much, much faster because she's the author of her own work. I think even that one would, quite frankly, not follow the same paths or ethical paths that some people are getting really squirrely about in the industry. I saw one, and if you're still watching Tabletop Vibes, give me a thumbs up if you're still watching. If you are, I'm going to show you this cool art. If you're looking in this industry, I was looking at a post on Facebook the other day where this person had posted their artwork and said, hey, or their cards, right? Their design said, hey, looking for feedback on my card layout. I'm not sure on the font color and kind of the position of the font. Any thoughts? Boom. Like a whole page of people just shitting on the fact that she had used Midjourney. And people are like, oh my God, are you using like AI art on this? And what the hell? And she's like, yeah. I do. And the person's like, how can you? You're hurting artists, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, hey, dude, I'm an artist. I'm a teacher. I teach art. I have my own art that I do. Guess what? I don't have time to crank out 50 pieces of art for this game I'm working on. So I'm going to use a tool, just like I do with Photoshop and Instagram and all these other things, to help me shorthand this so I can get more games. Because guess what? I want to put that time in to hang out with my kid. Versus take that time to, crank out me hand painting each of these so that you feel good in this social media forum about, these pieces you're looking at, where I'm not even asking you to comment on the art. I'm asking you to comment on the layout. So it's kind of interesting to see that even artists are starting to lean into this to say, okay, bus has left the station. How do we take advantage of this? How do we get on the front end of this? And I think if you look at it in that regard of, hey, how can we look on the front end of this? How can I monetize this in a way that is, has good intent behind it? I think that's a good thing. And certainly, every single day I'm reading something on AI because I want to learn as fast as I can. I think there's probably a good 2-year window here where those who are learning as much as they can crank out some pretty cool stuff and get some good coverage on it. And then I think 2 years from now, everyone's going to be doing this just like they're as simple as pouring a bowl of cereal. People are going to be creating AI pieces and use them the tools are advancing that fast that I think it's kind of the ship has sailed by then. Kind of reminds me of web design. Midjourney, Luke. Midjourney is, so MID and then Journey. Just Google it. You can use it on, it's done through Discord. It's kind of weird the way you do the prompting. All right, Mike, good seeing you, buddy. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Let's connect, man. I'll walk you through a tutorial for sure for your game. Say hi to Sarah for me. So Luke, it's called Midjourney. It's, unlike, ChatGPT, what you're doing chat prompts, this is kind of like that, but through Discord. So you when you sign up, you friend the Discord bot, and then you're sending the bot these queries, and those queries then will generate art pieces, right? I might be able to show, why don't I show you what I'm actually going to show one live here. Let me see if I can do this. Hang on. Yeah. Let me see if I can show. I'm going to show you a Midjourney-esque thing here. Give me 2 seconds. We're gonna do a query live on Midjourney and show you exactly how easy this is. All right, let me. I just need to do a window. Run a window capture. Add source. New source. Midjourney. Using Streamlabs. If anybody is wondering what kind of software I'm using to stream, I'm gonna add a source. Let me see if I can find Midjourney. So let me open it up. Discord. There we are. Okay, done. And Let me see here. I think you guys can probably see that. And I'll pull this in like this. Okay. Cool. So give me a thumbs up if you can see that. If you can see that, we're going to do a quick little query. Hey, Jacob. Welcome. All right. So this is Midjourney, my friends. And this is like a piece I had created. And it's quite frankly super simple. So you start off, once you've set it up into the Midjourney bot, let me just make sure the prompt is there. The prompt's not showing. How do I get the prompt to show? I have to shrink this down a little bit more. There we go. All right. So check this out. So I'm in Midjourney. I'm going to do /. I go imagine. All right. This is where a lot of people screw up because they type that and start typing and then nothing happens. They're like, I don't understand how this works. You start typing imagine, then you have to click the prompt like so. Now I'm going to type in literally anything. Let's type in what's not a Boston Terrier, what's a French Bulldog. A French Bulldog wearing a hat, smoking a pipe on the hood of a car. Comma, and then what you're going to do is you want to say -- space. We're going to call this version 5. There's different versions of Midjourney. We're going to do version 5. And then you can do an aspect ratio, but we won't even worry about the aspect ratio. Okay, let's see what this cranks out. Does this crank out something? And now we wait. So while we wait for it to crank out something, let me get my face back here and bring this down. There. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you're watching. We got Tyler. I think we lost Luke. He was the one who was actually asking the questions in the first place. All right. Let's see what cranks out. So we said Midjourney. Give us a French Bulldog. Wearing a hat, smoking a pipe on the hood. Luke's back. There he is. Oh, you're back with TikTok. Cool. No worries. No thumbs, man. So that's how quickly this thing cranks it. It takes about a minute. So it's not as fast as ChatGPT. ChatGPT is like way faster to get responses. But man, check this out. So we've got, so now you've got 4 versions and it didn't quite get it right. Now here I'm going to give you an example of how, again, because AI bot, there's still some issues with AI bots where they do their best, but some things they just don't fully understand. So I'm going to crank on this one. Now, as you can see, the car in the top left-hand corner, the perspective is not quite right? So you got the car kind of facing to the right, but you got the top of the car, the hood, kind of facing to the left. You're missing one of the headlights. Looks like the windshield wiper is connected to something or other. So that one's not quite right. The one on the next one over to the right, obviously the dog, way too big for the car. Bottom left-hand corner, that one's kind of cool with them sitting in the seat. And then the one in the bottom right-hand corner, again, is behind the wheel. Now, as you can see, only one of these is the guy's actually smoking. All the rest are not. So say I said, okay, those are cool. I kind of like the top left-hand corner one, but I don't like the way they did it here. So you've got these little kind of things down here. So U1, 2, 3, 4 is starting in the top left-hand corner, goes clockwise. So the top left is 1, top right is 2, bottom right is 3, bottom left is 4. U means upscale, V means variation. So any one of these, if I wanted a high resolution version of it, I would hit upscale, and it's now going to create that one image, and it's going to upscale for me in the super high resolution. But I don't like any of these. So I'm going to say, give me a variation. I'm going to say, give me a variation of the first one. So now Midjourney bot is now going to go and it's going to reiterate and it's going to give me some more versions of that first image. And again, you got to wait to start. This costs about, I think I pay $10 a month US to use this. You get like 10 free queries, which you're going to go through like super fast when you first sign up. So you need to have like pay for the bandwidth, because you got to think there's people doing like millions of these like every minute. So these ones are a little bit better. So I'm digging, let me see here. Oh yeah. So again, we've got kind of a car. It's not really a car in the top left-hand corner. Again, just got one mirror. One in the top right-hand corner is getting closer to what I'd want. And the other ones are kind of different variations. So this gives you an idea, and then you can keep doing that, right? Keep giving me, okay, I like this one, I'll give me variations of this one. And this is what people will often do, is they will just keep iterating until they get closer and closer to what they're looking for. So say I looked at these, I'm like, the French Bulldog, but he's not really smoking a pipe. So let me try this again. I'm going to copy this prompt. Again, I'm going to / imagine. Click in there. I'm going to paste it. And in this case, the smoking a pipe, I want to make sure that it really pays attention to smoking a pipe. So I put 2 colons, colon. I'm going to put a 6 weighting. You put like a 1 to 10 there. This just says to the Midjourney, hey, as you're going through and you are coming up with images, put more weighting on this element of what I'm asking you for. All right. And I can say, let's do something else here. In the style of, let's say, Picasso. I spell Picasso. Picasso? And it's in this, yeah, and then make sure you go to version 5. So make sure you did all right. Let's see if we can do this. See, I might have hit something wrong here. Yep, it's going to do it. So more weight. So hopefully we'll get a Picasso version of this dog in a car, and there'll be more emphasis put behind the pipe. I go back to my screen. How many people? I actually got 3 people in here. Wow. Fred, welcome. We're doing some Midjourney tutorials. Totally unintentional. I was actually talking about Cities of Venus, our Kickstarter campaign, which hit $96,000 today, and I think we're almost at 900 backers. I was taking everybody through the campaign. Then we did a little side quest where I was talking about a new game I'm working on, and the prototype we're using Midjourney for to do some quick art, so I can get a prototype made quickly for a prototype I have coming up in 3 weeks. And then that led into talking to people about exactly how to use Midjourney. All right. So here we are. As you can see, more emphasis on the dog smoking. Now, if you look at the top left one, it's coming out of the side of his face. Not so good. Bottom right one, it's floating in the air. Again, behind his ear in the bottom left. And kind of the top one is actually the most accurate. And since we put the emphasis more on the smoking, the cars disappeared. So you can keep playing around this way and do different things. You can do different types of hats. If I can say, now I want, let's do one more. Let's go imagine, prompt. And now instead of a French Bulldog, let's say I want to do a poodle. Wearing a hat, smoking a joint. Seems to be having trouble with pipe. Give that a 6. On the hood of a car. Let's see if we get more weighting to this one too. Let's go 5 weighting to that one. The style Picasso. Let's see what comes out here. Sometimes some of these AI bots will refuse to do certain designs, or it'll say, well, this might clash with our community standards. Give an example is we have a card in our game that talks about World War II, right? And from a technology standpoint, the A-bomb was a pretty significant piece of that. So I wanted to have an image of the A-bomb going off to signal that card that that's kind of a certain technology era that, you know, that went forward. And I was trying to create a card that showed the first bomb for Hiroshima, like a painting of it. And it came up and said, warning, community, this goes against our community standards. Please click here to appeal. And I had to appeal to actually get it to generate the thing. This is some cool imagery. Holy shit, I'm digging this. Oh my God. Oh my God, this is funny. I like the one in the top right. Oh my God. Okay, we're going to upscale. So let's upscale this. I'm going to upscale number 2. what I think is hilarious is, number one, the dog has got like a cat or something on its lap. So when you upscale, then it gives it to you in high resolution. This guy's like doing a bong pipe or something like that. Good God, that is freaking hilarious. Let's see what this one looks like here too. I'm going to upscale number one. And see what comes up here. The upscaling is actually quick. This is way quicker. It used to take a long time, but again, every iteration they do of Midjourney just gets better and better and better. And so this guy's got some, like, it looks like a mini dog on his lap while he's driving. Oh, what's in the back? Eesh, looks like a little devil. That's kind of creepy. It might be another dog supposed to be in the back seat. It's crazy. So yeah, I'm digging this guy here, man. I almost want to make a game around this dog. It's my new profile pic, I think. Holy shit, I love that. I love that. I shouldn't swear, I'm on live. I apologize. So that's Midjourney, guys. Any questions? If you have questions, throw it into the comments, man. I'm willing to talk about whatever. So again, I am a game designer, game publisher. So what led this down this rabbit hole is this is some of the card artwork I was working on for a game called Time Splicers that we're working on. And we've created this prototype that we're sent to print. It's going to go to Protospiel. And you can see that every card, even of the same era, slightly different. And we did that to represent, when you go on parallel timelines, how things are slightly different. It's a cool game. We're having a lot of fun with it, and I think it's going to be well received. I find when you do prototyping nights, these Protospiels, it's always easier to get people to want to sit down and play the game if there's some visual aspect of the game that they enjoy. Okay, what's Luke saying? Very cool. Going to be helpful for design. Do you do any Q&As for it? Yeah, dude, whatever you want, man. Like, hit me with it. Like, game design. Hopefully I cover off Midjourney enough for now, but if you have, like, do you have questions on game design? Let's get into it, man. I can talk about game design all day long. I got a whole podcast called Board Game Binge. That's all we do is we talk about games, and we talk with different designers and publishers from around the world and get their story. 30-minute format. You can listen to an episode while you brush your teeth or when you're on your way to work. 230 episodes so far. You've got Jamie Stagmeyer on there, Jim Hudson, Andrew Bosley, one of the most popular artists out there right now for board game design. He's done, was it Everdell? He did the cover of that. Q&As. Hit me with, if you guys have questions, I will answer as many questions as you guys have. That's why I'm here. Just here to riff. I got another, probably 20 minutes before I'm going to go to bed. Oh, thanks for agreeing to check it out. Yeah, Board Game Binge. Available anywhere you download your favorite podcast. You can watch them visually as well. So if you go to boardgamebinge.com, every episode we record live. So everything is it's raw. Like, there's no predetermined questions. Like, we just start off chatting. And but it's not and not to any diss against these other podcasts, but a lot of podcasts I listen to, the people are like, oh, how's your weekend? And like, they'll talk about absolutely nothing for like 30 minutes before they get to the meat of it. We don't do any of that. We get to the meat, and we get to the meat quick because we want to be in and out in 30 minutes. Some will go a little bit longer, 35, maybe 40 minutes. But yeah, we jump right in and we get to it. So I think you'll enjoy it. We have a Facebook group as well called Board Game Binge. It's a private Facebook group. If you ask to join, it automatically lets you in. It just keeps the bots out. You don't even have to answer the question. Just put spacebar for the questions, and it just keeps the bots out. But we got 1,800 members. A lot of game designers, game publishers in there as well. You can ask people questions. 5 or 6 prototypes ready to go, but only a few playtests around across them all. Yeah, that's the challenge, right? I was talking to another... I had somebody reach out to me. It's a blur now. It was either this morning or it was yesterday. I'm thinking it was actually this morning. And the person was saying, hey, I noticed you got a lot of... like, if you go to my campaign right now, I have for Cities of Venus, which is on Kickstarter. We have like a lot of reviewers, right? Like a lot. And I think I sent out 40 copies of the game for reviewers to play, test, and review. And the only catch is I don't I didn't want to pay to have people do reviews. And there's a lot of great content creators out there. And if I had a cajillion dollars, sure, I'd pay some of the big ones like Quackalope and these guys to review my game as like a paid preview more than anything, if you're paying them to actually do coverage. But I'd rather put that money into prototypes and send those prototypes out to reviewers and say, hey, it's yours to keep. Just looking for you to do content creation. And usually they agree ahead of time they're going to do that before you send it to them, because there's a cost to create it and send it to them. I don't like to pay for reviews. So I literally only paid one person, and that was to create a playthrough video that I could then send to the other reviewers so they had something to refer to when they were doing the game. So let me finish this one quick story and then I'll get into that question. So this person was asking me, they're saying, hey, how'd you get so many reviewers? And I said, well, I put the call out. I said, here's the description of the game and looking for anybody to who's interested in trying it. And this person has said, well, I have this game I've got, I think we're ready to go. We've had 30 play tests. And he put that on his Kickstarter page. And I said, whoa, like, be careful. That's microscopic. 30 play tests, you're going to get hammered by people that see that on your Kickstarter page. You got to take that off, right? Just say it's been well play tested. My advice for play testing. It's a great question. I think that number one, there's actually a Facebook group called Playtesters. Playtesters Wanted. Great group to join. Join that group. Just Google playtesting in Facebook and you'll find a group. Those groups are specifically people who love playtesting people's games. And you can say, hey, I've got a game that I'm looking to play test. Can anybody interested in checking out the game? So that's one easy one. Two, you have to have a digital version of your game. If you're not currently using Tabletop Simulator, which is kind of the industry standard, you got to start using it right away. Tabletop Simulator, there's tons of tutorials on YouTube on how to set up. It's pretty out of the box. So you have to sign up with Steam, and then you sign up for Tabletop Simulator, and then it costs like $20 to get it. And then once you have it, you have it forever. And board game reviews and more. Welcome. We're just riffing on game design questions and things like that. Feel free to throw any questions in there. So Tabletop Simulator, you want to get on there. Lots of tutorials. I taught myself how to use it, and it took me like one afternoon to figure it out. But you can create a virtual version of your game, whether you have cards, there's a lot of pre-made components you can add to the game. And it very much emulates what you have at the table. You can have a hand to actually move things around. You pick up a hand to roll dice and things like that. And there's scripters out there you can pay, and that's what we did for Cities of Venus. There's a scripter I know where I paid him like $50 to do some quick scripting so that the card dealing at the beginning was all automated and things like that. Once you have a tabletop version of your game, there are Discord groups. I have one that I'm part of. It's run by Joe Slack. He's one of the other hosts of the Board Game Binge podcast. He runs this as a virtual playtesting group. You can search it up under Discord. He runs this every month. And this is just for people to playtest their game. And they're all designers. And the deal is, if you're bringing a game in to playtest, you have to playtest other people's games as well. Right? So I'm going to bring my game. You're going to bring your game. Everyone, I'm going to say, hey guys, I'm going into this lobby. Can you guys come and join my game and play test it? And then they give you some feedback. And you're getting great feedback because these are game designers. Some of it you'll take with a grain of salt because sometimes people are trying to create a game that they want to see versus the game that you're creating. But it gives you an opportunity to get some raw feedback, and they give it to you straight up, right? And then the deal is, then you're going to play test their game and you're going to give them feedback. The parameters around that usually is what you do is you'll say, hey, my game is like a 60-minute game. How long is your game? And you try to make sure you're being fair. I've had games that take 30 minutes to play. I'm not a person that likes to play 2.5 hour long games. So I'm usually upfront with that because I'll say to the person, look, it's going to be tough to get good feedback out of me because I just don't play 2.5 hour long games, right? So I'm going to come in a bit jaded, and I want you to have people that love these kind of games give you good feedback. So I typically, I do that with playtesting. So Tabletop Simulator, Facebook, there are some playtest people that if you don't have Tabletop Simulator and you just want to deal with like prototypes for now, there's a handful of people that Eric Fernston is another great one. We had him on the podcast. He's just a person that loves playtesting games, and he actually does a lot of playtesting for Stonemaier. There's a ton of people out there like that too, where if you agree to pay to ship the game to them, and most of them are in the States, so it's like $12, they will play the game, and then you send them like the $12 to ship it back to you. And they'll fill out like a survey, and they'll give you the feedback on the game. So that's another great way to do some play testing. But for sure, I'd say Tabletop Simulator and these playtest forums, just the sheer volume of playtesting you get done is quite a bit higher, and you can get great feedback. The other place where I go is I go to local Protospiels. Protospiel, right? So if you Google Protospiels in my area, I don't know where you live, Luke. Like, can you give me like the city or the area? There's tons of Protospiels all over the place, many across the States. I'm in Canada. There's several here in this area. There's one even in my local city here. I'm in Barrie, Ontario, Milwaukee. Oh yeah, for sure. There's going to be one in the Milwaukee area. You just have to just literally Google Protospiels. And if you don't, go into like type in the playtesting forum in there on Facebook. Actually ask, hey, I'm in the Milwaukee area. Does anybody know of any Protospiels in this area? The cool thing with Protospiels is you get that tactile, right? Now you got the person across the table from you. So you got that hardcore experience of, okay, we're at a table and we're playing this game together. Those are awesome. And I go to those. There's 2 of them in the Toronto area I go to every year. I got another one coming up in 3 weeks, which starts the whole conversation with Time Splicers. And there's even one in my hometown that's going to be here. They do it once a month at a local cafe where game designers come in. They are awesome because you come with your game. Again, you'll usually be at a table and people rotate around and play each other's games. And they usually open them to the public. So there might be, like the one here in Toronto I go to, there'll usually be anywhere from 10 to 20 game designers there. And most of them will bring, like in your case, you have 5-6 games. They'll bring all 6 games, right? And you'll just have them there. And then people can buy tickets for like $2 to come out and play board games for the day and try new things that might be coming down the pipe. And they get to see them in all different iterations. I've literally seen somebody create a game on the spot they had those blank cards and were making a game. They had an idea for a basketball game and they were making it there on the spot. And they did some play testing with some people right there. It's actually a pretty cool game. So you see versions like that, and you see games which are much more polished. Cities of Venus, in the fall, we brought the version we had, which a lot of it was created from GameCrafter. Some of the components actually came from China. Like these guys actually had manufactured in China. So I had about 1,000 of these made ahead of time for the prototypes, just for Protospiel, so people had more of a tactile feel. All different types of points in the process that people bring those games. And you can have people from the public. So you get a good mix of game designers playtesting your game and giving you very raw, very real feedback. And then you also have a good chunk of people who just like playing games that come in. And, if I look at my experience I had with Cities of Venus, which we're going to call this a medium light. And the reason we call it medium light, originally the initial marketing was medium because we said to people, where does this fit on the spectrum? And people are like, well, Patchwork is light. Azul is light. This is heavier than that. I call it a medium. Said to some of the reviewers who are all hardcore gamers that play games every single day and are reviewing games and go deep into mechanics, they were saying it was light for their taste. So we picked this kind of medium light. And what I found at this Protospiel I went to is we had worked out like pretty much everything was ready to go. We actually still made a couple mods even based on that, even though we thought the game was ready and done. There were some cool ideas that came up, and so we made these changes. And but what was cool is there was people who were just casual gamers that played it that said, count me as a backer. Like, how can I sign up now? I want this. I want to copy this game when it's ready. And then we had some game designers who were more into like 5e games and like D&D, super deep games. They were like, this is on the lighter side. I don't know. Like, yeah, it was fun. But I want a game that's like way deeper. And I'm like, well, you're definitely not my audience. So in those playtests, I find it's best to describe, here's the weight of the game. This is the type of game mechanics I have. Do you want to play test it? And I suggest you play test it if it fits within your style. If you don't want to play test it, that's totally cool too. Because you'll find some of the people will switch and try to give you feedback based on they want to be something like the type of game they play, and they have trouble kind of reviewing it based on the game it is. So that's the only caution I'd have there. But still, I write all feedback down regardless. Even if there's stuff that stings, and I've had people be brutally, I'm not even gonna say candid, blunt in their feedback. And I still write, oh, thank you. Okay, that's good. Those are good thoughts, and write it down. And I always go away and I chew on it for a while. And sometimes there's a nugget of something there that I can still use. There's only been one time where the person was straight up rude in their feedback. And that was when I first started game. This is the very first game I had that I took to market, which is called Tanks But No Thanks. And I took it to a game night. And where these different people are playing, it was a game developers night, and it was for playtesting. And the game was pretty much done. Like, we were ready to go to Kickstarter at that point. And I prefaced it to say, look, this game is done. All right, we're going to a Kickstarter right now. And the guy was a bit offended by that. He goes, well, why even have me play? I'm like, well, here's why I want you to play. I'm trying to find out if there's anything broke. We haven't broke the game yet, but if there's anything in here that's broken, we need to know this now, right? If there's any fundamental issues, we need to figure that out now. So the guy's like, all right, yeah, I'll play. And as he's playing, I said, in this game, it's deceptively simple. It's going to give you the perception that this is luck-based, right? Because there's dice that you have to roll to shoot, and you roll dice to move your tanks on the board. And I said, people that win this game typically will maneuver their tanks and try to get close to somebody so they're only 2 or less spots away from their target that they're trying to shoot. So when they're rolling a D6, they got a really good chance they're going to hit that person, right? People just sit back and keep trying to roll sixes. Rarely do they win. Yeah. So we're playing. What's he do? He's sitting back. He's just rolling the dice randomly, trying to hit sixes from a distance. This guy gets like annihilated. Like, he got wiped off the map. And everyone else still had all their tanks, right? So he just got like killed. So he's just sitting there just steaming, right, for the rest of the game. And the game's only going like 40 minutes. It's a quick game. So at the end, I said, what's your feedback? And he goes, well, I shouldn't give you my feedback. I go, you're not going to offend me. Just give it to me. I can take it. And then he goes on this rant. Oh, this is never a game I would ever play. If I saw this on a table, I'd walk right past it. You're using dice. No one uses dice anymore. What is this, 1980? You should be using cards. There's no agency in this game. It's all just whoever's luckiest roll wins. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, I told you straight up at the beginning, you have to maneuver your tanks close to your targets. No, it's all luck. It's all luck. I'm like, all right, whatever. His feedback went on for like 50 minutes, and it was rude. Only time I've ever encountered that. And so now we've been doing this for 5 years. One time. Every other time, people are very gracious. And sometimes they'll give you feedback you don't want to hear. And that's cool. And I think that's a skill that's taken time for me to learn, is to not let it sting, right? Let the feedback kind of roll over you so you can absorb it for what it is, which is feedback. And all feedback is just feedback. Some stuff might be relevant to your game. Some stuff might not be. I've had feedback where I'm thinking in my head, clearly this person's not kind of getting what we're trying to do here, which is fine. But man, that was a cool idea they mentioned, and I'm actually going to employ that in another game I'm working on, because the other game I have, that would actually work perfectly. So, I think it's all part and parcel for the course, but I know that's a long-winded answer. Luke, does that answer your question? Or Luke, are you even still here? Do you have other questions? Hit me with it, brother. I got another 10 minutes before I sign off. It looks like we still got a few people on TikTok that are watching. I don't even know who the other TikTok person is here. Luke, you've been the only one commenting. Midjourney, Tabletop Simulator, and Protospiel. Yes. Midjourney, Tabletop Simulator, Protospiel, ChatGPT Plus, so that you can link it into to searching the web. It's still limited. I'm going to say this in terms of the searches, because I was trying to get to do statistical analysis on some pages that had data on them. I'm like, ooh, I could create a statistical model based on the data on that page. ChatGPT, can you go on XYZ page and give me a statistical predictive model based on the data on that page? That's the limit it has. It can crawl and give you information based on data that shows up, like in the copy on the page, but any charts or anything that pull from like an API key from a database, it can't do that yet, unfortunately. But I'm sure it's coming soon. Another cool thing you can do if you're in like marketing or business and things like that is you can use ChatGPT to do competitive analysis. So you can literally say, I have competitor XYZ, and they have such and such a product, which is a competitor of mine. Please give me a SWOT analysis on the on this other company's products and suggest where my points of entry are based on what their strengths are. It'll spit that out based on crawling the web. I mean, you could quite frankly do it for a game. I've got a game idea I'm working on, and here's a full description of my game. Can you please check the web and see if there's another game that's been published out there that has a description similar to my game or has mechanics described similar to my game? It will search the internet and it will give it that to you. It'll tell you how close you are. A lot of parallel thinking in the industry. Like I'm working on a time travel game right now, and lo and behold, I'm looking at Kickstarter, what launched this past week, a time travel game. Nothing like my game. There's more of a board game. Actually looks pretty cool. But it's a heavier type of game where you're trying to like get different things from different time periods and you're trying to build out your tableau and so forth. Mine's way simpler than that. Mine's a card game that you can play in 15 to 30 minutes. But there's a lot of parallel ideas out there, and often people are afraid in this industry to share their ideas. And this would be something I'd say for people who are budding game developers like yourself. Often people are afraid to share. I was like this when I first started. You're afraid to share your idea because you think somebody's going to steal it. No one's going to steal your game. Everyone's so busy focusing on their own stuff that to go and copy a game, there's just no time to do it. And what I use it a little bit as a protective measure. So what I'll do is I'll start seeding out just the rough versions of my game. Here's a game I'm working on. And I'll even Seas of Venus for doing this. During when we were boxes on a piece of paper, I was doing photos and sharing it on my social media account. Say, hey, working on this new game, Cities of Venus, excited about it. Adam and I are doing some iterations. Oh, here's another playtest night. Here's some other changes we made. Sharing that all the way along the way, you now have a public record of a game you've been working on, right? So somebody comes along later and says, hey, they stole my idea. No, I didn't. I actually had this happen to me. Like I say, the individual, but in my social media, I did a picture of one of my games and this person reached out to me and they're like, looks very similar to a game that I've created. Emoji, thinking emoji. And I'm like, whoa, kind of implying that I've stole the idea. Reached out to the person. I said, look, saw your post. So you know that like I take these things very personally. I want to let you know that I just checked out your game. Other than the fact that it's a mint-tin game and it has cars that go down the cards, I mean, the mechanics are completely different between these two games, and here's what my game's about, and here's how I came up with this game. Quite frankly, it's a game we invented when my father was in the hospital after getting having a really bad reaction to the shot during COVID. He went into full delirium. The guy, we had to spoon feed him in the hospital. Right, he couldn't even talk. And this is my father who taught me to play chess when I was like 5 years old. And so my brother and I were working on, actually Cities of Venus we're working on. And we're working on I had this idea of creating like a drag race using cards. And we wanted to have a mechanic that you could make it random. Like, so the person takes their cards and they take their cards, and then almost as random as war, but not quite that random. There's a tiny little bit of agency in there. You shuffle the two decks together and you start dealing out, and based on the card that comes up, that's whose car moves down the track. Very simple. But we did this because we were visiting my father in the hospital again, and only one person could go. So that was me every day going to feed him. And he could still somewhat had some faculties about him. So it was a form of entertainment. Hey, Dad, we're going to play a game together. You're going to be the orange car and I'm going to be the green car. Here, I'm going to shuffle them for you. Here, which cards do you want? You want to go with this one? And looking from the nod and stuff like that and shuffle them. We created this racing game out of it. And so when this person kind of accused me of stealing a game, man, that was like a knife. It hit me in the heart, right? And so I reached out to them behind the scenes. I'm like, dude, here's the story behind this. They were very apologetic. They're like, I'm so sorry. And actually, I said, and we're good buds now, and we follow each other on social media, which is awesome. But that's going to happen. There's so many things that are similar in this industry that there's only so many themes. There's only so many mechanics. Most mechanics now are iterative of mechanics that came before them. The current evolution of board games you're seeing right now is combinations and permutations of mechanics that have been the prior two waves of games that have come into the market where people are like, oh, that's a cool game. Hey, I love Rolling Realms. I did this. Rolling Realms, one of my favorite board games I got right now. Love it. This whole idea of rolling meeples is such a cool mechanic. So we've been thinking, hey, we've got these little space guys, right? These are meeples. And you roll them. The chance of them land on their feet is actually very rare just based on the shape. They're not equal. The size is, they're taller than, twice as tall as they are wide. So wouldn't that be cool to have a game where you're rolling meeples? So we're actually going to do that in our Cities of Venus. We reached out to our audience and said, hey, we're still doing some of the cards, some of the events, and some of the upgrades. Any ideas? Throw them our way. The best ideas are the ones we go with. We're going to give you a mention in our book. So one person came up with an idea for sports events. So the game's pretty dark. Like there's bad stuff happening all the time. Like you're trying to basically keep your city from crashing. And just when you think things are built up, an event comes and wipes out half of the people in one of your departments, right? So if that's not the kind of game you like, it's not the game for you. A lot of people love it because it's a challenge to try to kind of get your ship, your engine going and your worker placement to get this thing thriving. But we thought, hey, that'd be kind of a cool little relief. This guy's saying sports events. So we've created now a card where it comes up and it says the Venusian Olympics. And the Venusian Olympics is everyone grabs 6 meeples and they start rolling. And the first person to get a meeple to stand up on the roll wins the Olympics. So their city won those Olympics and they get 4 mineral points that they can add to their stash. That's a mechanic. 100% inspired by Rolling Realms, Rolling Heights. Sorry, not Rolling Realms, Rolling Heights. But everything is iterative, right? If I look at player boards, here's some parallel thinking, right? We had I got one person left. Who's left? Is it Luke or is it someone else? There's literally one person left. We got a 1-person party here. Who's left? I'll finish this thought and then we'll start winding her down. My quad layer player boards, which are right here. All right. So you look at these boards. So these quad layer boards, which was something that we wanted to have right from the out of the gate in our game, is the ability for cards to plug into the board. And it's a super, super cool function, right? The fact that these cards kind of plug in and they're quad layer, and lo and behold, this I came up with 3 years ago when we were working on this game, right? It's something we, out of the gate, was one of the first things that we decided we wanted to do because we want to have a very tactile feel like you're actually building a ship. A year after that, I'm playing Aquatica. Somebody brings Aquatica to game night, and lo and behold, they've got a board. Theirs is really cool how they did it, but you can slide the cards in. Theirs is only a 2-layer board. And the manufacturing is so good on these boards. I don't know who they use as a manufacturer. But the glue... Hey, David, welcome. The glue that's got these 2 boards connecting each other creates enough space that a card can slide in and out and not get caught up on the edges and things like that. It was super cool. But it reminded me a lot of our board. Parallel thinking, right? 2 people come up with kind of a cool idea, not aware of each other. So that kind of stuff happens all the time, so I wouldn't worry about that. Any final questions? All right. It's been a fun it's been a fun stream, man. We've covered a lot of stuff. We even had a mini mid-journey tutorial in there, which is pretty cool. I want to thank everybody who's been part of the podcast and has been joining us tonight as well. And please check out Cities of Venus on Kickstarter. You can use a pledge even if it's $1. We're trying tonight to get to... Let me just check. Where did we land on Cities of Venus? We're trying to get to 900 backers. And we're 1 shy. Bastards. This is one of the things that if you're ever doing a Kickstarter campaign, brace yourself. It is an emotional roller coaster. You'll cross a threshold and then someone will drop their pledge. And then you'll cross another threshold and you're like, okay, we got there. And then someone will drop their pledge. So you kind of have this, 2 steps forward, 1 step back thing that happens throughout your campaign. It happens on every campaign, happens to everyone. But man, it still kind of stings a bit when it does. So It looks like I'll be going to bed with 898 backers tonight, but hey, we're still at $96,000. I want to thank everybody that's been part of this stream, and we'll talk soon. Drop me a DM, James Wings on Facebook, if you have any questions. Love to hear from you, and yeah, have a great night. We'll talk soon.